We all need them. We do. We need some strategies for living. So
they're good for you.
Yeah, they are good for us. Are you ready? You ready for your daily dose of radio rehab?
It's for your health.
There you go. There you go. Hey, folks, welcome. Welcome into another edition of Strategies for Living here on 101.7 FM and 710 Keel. I'm Dr. David McMillian. He's Jimmie Bryant, Ph.D. That means he produces, he hosts, and he directs.
And I am in fine order. How are you today, sir?
But you look to be in fine order, my friend.
Well, thank you.
You're too young to remember the comic strip Pogo.
I don't remember Pogo, no.
Yeah, Pogo was a very, very popular comic strip. And one of the famous sayings of Pogo, I think Pogo was a tortoise. I'll have to look that up, but I think Pogo, maybe you're probably on it right now.
Yeah. I think he's a bear.
Is he a bear? Pogo?
I'm not entirely sure what this being is. I think he's a bear.
Okay.
It looks like fur.
Okay. Well, anyway, Pogo had a saying, and the saying was, "We has met the enemy, and he is us."
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And
Pogo got a little deep there.
Pogo gets a little deep. And, we have this body, we have this mind, we have a soul, we have a spirit, energy, whatever you want to call it. But our spirit, our soul, the energy that is us has to filter through this body and mind.
Yeah.
Can I sell you on the idea that the soul and the spirit is pure joy? Can I sell you on that idea?
Yeah, tell me more.
Well, I mean, whatever that soul and spirit, that energy is, it's from the creative source, the creator. We like to call that God, but different people call it different things. Not everybody believes that.
Sure.
But whatever has created us is pure joy.
However you add it up.
However you make it make sense to you. But it has to, we have lens that pure joy goes through.
Okay.
And the lens are in the body and in the mind. And so I think that we are, at our essence, we're joy. But the body and the mind create habits. And you know what habits can do, right? Habits.
They can make or break us.
They can. And there are some daily habits that can literally drain, I'd say maybe 90% of our joy. The joy that's supposed to be ours. That is our birthright, if you will. We're going to talk
of us. We are of it. Yeah.
That's it. And so we're going to talk this evening, you and I, Jimmie, about some daily habits that maybe some of us have gotten into that literally drain our joy. And hopefully we'll talk about some strategies to deal with those, since we are strategies for living, right?
I'm getting the feeling that today's topic will be good for everyone.
I hope you're right. I trust you. I'll trust you on that. Folks, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in to Strategies for Living. We are presented by the Robinson Film Center, by Azalea Cleaners, by Pintail Roofing, by Learning, there you go, by Learning Rx, by Hempress, Cannabis with Love, 3766 Uri Drive in Shreveport, and we're brought to you by the Shreveport Little Theater. What are some habits, some daily habits that often drain off 90% of our joy? We're going to talk about them, consider them this evening here on Strategies. Stay with us.
Reading begins not in the classroom, but in your child's brain. I'm Donisa Walker with Learning Rx Shreveport. If your child struggles to read, maybe he or she has trouble focusing or comprehending, Learning Rx Shreveport offers a science solution to reading problems. Working one-on-one with your child, targeting his or her reading skills Today, call Learning Rx Shreveport. Make an appointment to have your child assessed. I know you want to help your child. So does Learning Rx Shreveport.
Hi, this is Jay Merle for Pintail Roofing. Let's talk about quality. When you hire Pintail to build your roof, here's what you can expect. Quality and quality control are the most important concerns for us at Pintail, and you need to know that Pintail stands tall with swift and professional performance on any warranty call. This is our most important policy. And remember, we're your neighbors. We'll be here for you for the long haul. Our family's lived here for over 100 years, and we aren't going anywhere. On the commercial side of Pintail's business, our fluid-applied roofing solutions can save thousands of dollars over conventional commercial roofing options. Call Pintail at 226-ROOF for a free inspection of your home or commercial building. That's 226-7663. Pintail Roofing. What's the condition of your roof?
And welcome back into Strategies for Living here on 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Jimmie, Bryant, David McMillian. You know, ultimately, I mean, we have control over this through the choices and decisions we make repeatedly, because that's who we are. We're choice makers.
We sure are.
We are choice makers, and even when we say, I'm not going to choose, that is a choice. But
Absolutely.
in other words, we can't not choose. We can't not be
there's no true non-choice.
right.
Yeah.
We can't not be choosers and deciders. And so we ultimately then, what we choose in terms of our behaviors, right? We become, whatever we repeatedly do, that's who we become, right? Now, we can change that at any point in time, but you ultimately become what you repeatedly do. That's a habit. That's what your habits are. And so, you know, it's not complicated here. If our habits aren't helping us, then they're hurting us, you know?
Right.
And
Yeah.
so there are some
I know we just said it, but just to say it again, that's because there is no non-choice.
That's right.
And so,
But being human is being a choice maker.
right.
I mean, even if I'm flat on my back in bed. I can't get out of bed for whatever reason. Okay.
Yeah.
I've still got my mind, so I can.
You're still a choice maker.
I'm still a choice. That, until I lose that ability within my mind.
Yeah.
I'm choosing. I'm deciding. I'm choosing. And so, if we're not choosing habits that are helping us, then they're hurting us. And there's some pretty common and widespread examples of habits that hurt us, and that's what we want to focus on today. So one, and we talk about this with some frequency, Jimmie, and we sometimes jokingly say, "Don't should all over yourself."
That's right.
Right?
It's just a hot mess, is what it is.
Yeah, and so that's a habit we can get into. We focus on how life should be, and we do that every step of the way. We do that repeatedly. So, try to use frustration and inconvenience to motivate you rather than annoy you. The fact is that every single one of us are in control of the way. We're not in control of what happens to us, but we're in control of the way we look at the things that happen to us.
Yeah.
So we're in control of the way that we look at life. So instead of getting angry, we have a choice. We can ask ourselves, okay, what's the lesson here for me? So if I'm aware that I'm feeling, let's say, envy, I could, just by some simple questioning, the lesson could be, maybe I'm having this feeling of envy because I admire, something that I'm envious of, this person's accomplishments or whatever.
You just smacked the nail on the head with that one.
Yeah. So in place of worry, we might take action. In place of doubt, we might decide, okay, I can have some faith here. So your response is always more powerful than your present circumstance. A small part of our life is decided by completely uncontrollable circumstances, but the vast majority of our life is decided by how we respond. Does that make sense?
It sure does.
Yeah. I think it may even be 90-10. 10.
I think that's reasonable.
And that's why I'm saying, if we are pure joy, because we are this soul, this spirit, this whatever we want to label the God that created us and the God that where this energy comes from, then we're pure joy. But we, through our habitual negativity, thinking, frustrations, behaviors, in other words, habits, because behaviors can be habits, ways of thinking can become habitual.
Yeah.
We can really mess that up. We can take the 90% and turn, we can take the 90 and turn it into 10. And that's not a good investment.
No.
I'll take the other way.
No.
Give me 10 and let me, deal me 10 and let me make 90.
I got an uncle that says that's hustling backwards.
There you go. There you go. Another habit is we're wanting to control the uncontrollable. So,
which is as futile as it gets.
it is. But we've got to understand something. Yes, we've got a body, and yes, we have a mind. But again, who we really are is pure energy. Be selective with your energy.
Yes.
If you can fix a problem, fix it. If you can't, then accept it. And when you accept it, you can begin to change your thoughts about it. So whatever you do, don't attempt to invest more energy than you have. Tripping over something behind you or something that only exists in your head, right?
Right.
The 3-room house, spending more time in the past or more time in the future than we spend in the here and now. Truth be told, some of the most powerful moments in life happen when we find the courage to let go. We let go of what can't be changed. The serenity prayer.
Absolutely.
God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change what I can, the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And because when you're no longer able to change a situation, then the challenge is, all right, I've got to do something within myself. I've got to change myself, and that might be accepting what is, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So, and in other words, when we do that, we can grow beyond whatever it is that's unchangeable. And when we grow beyond whatever it is that's unchangeable, guess what? It changes everything.
Didn't we just change it? Yeah.
We just changed it. And so, it comes back to how powerful we are. It comes back to the fact that we're magnificently made creators interacting through this body and through this mind, but through the lens of the body and the mind, we form habits. And some of those habits can really, really mess with our joy. Let's talk for a moment about the Robinson Film Center.
There's a source of joy.
Oh, man. 617 Texas Street, downtown Shreveport. Right now, Jules, heck of a movie playing. Also, Talk to Me. If you hadn't seen Jules, you need to go see it. Robinson Film Center, there's no place like it. Of course, Abby Singer's Bistro, no place like that either. Full-service bistro and bar on the second floor of RFC.
And I just want to say that, in particular right now, the selection of films is incredibly diverse.
It truly is. Coming up, opening up on the 25th is Helen Mirren in Golda. I can't wait to see that.
And then we've got Old Boy.
Yeah.
Happening that same day.
Yeah.
Rocky and Ronnie are coming September 1st. And then Bueller.
Well, yeah, that's the, what is that? That's one of the Friday night freakouts.
Yeah.
It's going to be September the 1st. And you get events like that, you know.
Shout out to the Out North LA Film Festival. I'm sorry. I got to.
That's okay. That's okay. Here's the deal. If you enjoy movies, and I know a lot of us do, stay on robinsonfilmcenter.org. Think about becoming a member, because we want to keep the Robinson here. We want it to be healthy. We want it to keep growing. Become a member. You get discounts on movies. You get concession upgrades. You get bistro deals. RFC, 617 Texas Street, downtown Shreveport, robinsonfilmcenter.org. Welcome back. Welcome back into 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Jimmie Bryant, David McMillian. We're talking here on Strategies for Living about those daily habits that we get into that can drain 90% of our joy. Another habit we get into is the holding tight. We want things to be the way they used to be, damn it.
or we want them to be the way we want them.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and so many of us have, when we live long enough, we like to talk about the good old days, right?
Sure.
It ain't like it used to be. So sometimes we hold too tight to the way things once were. And, the fact of the matter is, Jimmie, you are not the same person that you were a year ago. I'm not the same person that I was a year ago. You're not the same person you were a month ago. Neither am I. You're not the same person that you were even a week ago. And neither am I. We're always learning. We're always growing. And life is always doing the evolving thing, right?
That's right.
It's moving.
Whether you like it or not.
And so even though we can't control everything that happens, what we do control is our attitude about what happens. And when we do that, you gradually master change rather than allowing it to master you. So, I think what we have to do, the challenge for all of us, I'm talking about me especially, I got to be humble. I've got to be teachable. I've got to be humble today. I've got to be teachable today. What do I say a lot to remind myself? If I live to be 105,
that's right.
I want to be a curious student.
That's
right through to the very end. The world is a lot of times bigger. In fact, I would say maybe all the time.
I was about to ask if
bigger than our view of the world. And yet we think about the world as the same as our view of the world, but our view of the world is just that. It's a microcosm of the huge, the massive macrocosm, right?
It's just a reflection.
Yeah.
It's a small part of a spectrum of light.
So here's the deal. There's always room for a fresh idea, a next step. So, but to do that, we've got to accept the fact that things aren't going to go back to how they used to be, because how they used to be is gone. It's in the past.
It doesn't exist.
No, it doesn't exist anymore. And that really every ending is a new beginning. And if I want to see it this way, every ending is also a new beginning and a new opportunity.
And I love that you use the word opportunity, because my mind was just starting to go to the whole dynamic of challenges and opportunities.
Absolutely.
Change and opportunities.
Absolutely.
It's only it's about how you look at it.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's our power. That's our superpower,
That's our superpower.
That's our superpower. Another habit we get into is forgiveness is a big thing.
Yeah.
And we'll forgive other people, but a lot of us are in the habit of refusing to forgive ourselves, refusing to practice self-forgiveness.
If you'll bear with me a second, I think that it's easier to forgive others because they go away.
Yeah, and we stay.
We stay. We're
hang
always
around.
there.
Yeah. I think we have to forget. We all have had times where, in the past, we look at those decisions with 2020. Hindsight's 2020 vision, right?
It sure
So
is.
we look back and we look at those decisions and we say, man, those were bad decisions. That's a bad choice I made. That's a bad decision I made in the past. And, maybe we lacked understanding. Maybe some of our choices accidentally hurt other people, or maybe even hurt ourselves. We've got to forgive ourselves for being young and reckless. Even if we're a young and reckless 65-year-old. Tomorrow we can be 65 plus one day, and now you're different.
That's
so
right.
these are vital lessons that we can learn. What matters most right now is this moment and our willingness to grow from those lessons of the past. So we've got to practice self-forgiveness. And if we do that, we can freely untie ourselves and we can move ahead. You know, sometimes I was setting up some equipment earlier today, and it gave me the option to hit a button and go to the defaults.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and the fact of the matter is we've got some default settings within us. And something that can rob our joy is just endlessly settling for the default settings, right?
Sure.
There are thousands of people who live their entire lives on the default settings. They don't ever acknowledge the fact that they can customize. You know, default settings kind of get installed into us in the first 6 to 10 years of our life. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of default settings get programmed there, and many of us live our entire life without ever unpacking some of those beliefs that got put there. We didn't put them there. You know, those were put there by other people, and in many cases, very well-meaning other people, people that loved us, but people who themselves are human, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And so I think it's important that we not just settle for the default settings on a regular basis. Let's not hide behind indecision or even laziness. And, you know, sometimes we just need to say, well, you know, I got to forget about popularity. I just need to follow what I'm passionate about. And I can do that humbly and honestly. You know, do what you do, not for the applause, not for the admiration, but because from the inside of you, you know it's the right thing to do.
That's it.
Yeah. So, you know, and do that a little bit each day. Doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. That's how you achieve your dreams, you know? So, but to do that, you know, you got to get away from going to the default, you know? That makes sense?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's hard.
Yeah, it is.
It
truly is. It takes effort. It takes just the unpacking. Just the unpacking. I was in a conversation earlier today with someone about, well, we were talking about we were talking about religion. We were talking about how, you know, many of us are born into a religious tradition.
Right.
And we just take for granted that what was taught to us, okay, well, that's, you know, we don't ever question it. The problem with that is if we don't take it out and question it and look at it and turn it over, and then it's not ours.
Doesn't belong to you.
Doesn't belong. I was in senior theology at Jesuit High School. We didn't study. You'd think Jesuit High School, a Catholic school, that we'd be studying Catholicism, right?
Yeah.
Not 1 year in theology did we study Catholicism.
I mean, you did get plenty of that.
We got plenty. Yeah, we got plenty. But in our senior year, that we did in theology, we studied world religions. And Father John Welsh, who was a wonderful Jesuit priest, and many people were influenced positively by Father Welsh. A student raised his hand one day and said, Father Welsh, you know, we're studying all these other world religions. Why aren't we studying Christianity? And I loved Father Welsh's answer. He said, you know, you really need to understand what everybody else. He said, you know, if Christianity is true, then it will stand up. The truth will stand up. to you looking at all of the other ways that people look at how to have a relationship with God. And I thought, now I'm paraphrasing, but that's
a beautiful answer.
That's basically what he said. And, you talk about, wow, makes you think, We're in a Christian school, but in our senior theology, we're not studying Christianity. No, we want you to know about all the others so that you can stand on what is truth, Yeah. Powerful, powerful stuff.
Absolutely.
We're talking about habits that can drain 90% of our joy. And we're talking about that here on Strategies for Living. Shreveport Little Theater, we talk about them a lot, right?
We do. With good reason.
101, they're about to start their 102nd season, the 23-24 season.
Isn't that awesome?
It's amazing. And I want to talk about, because tonight, Louisiana Public Broadcasting is going to rebroadcast the documentary on the Shreveport Little Theater. And it happens right after this show goes off.
That's really cool.
8 o'clock this evening is the rebroadcast on LPB. And you can watch it live if you have, on LPB. I think for most places it's channel 24. Okay. But you can look on your listings to see where it is. But this documentary, called The Maker of Dreams, won the Bronze Award in the 44th annual Telly Awards competition, which is the world's largest honor platform for video and television across all screens. And so the Maker of Dreams is a fantastic documentary, talking about Shreveport Little Theater. And it is, you can watch it on LPB. In Shreveport, that's KLTS. And I think it's channel 24. But you're gonna find out a whole lot about Shreveport Little Theater. Get your season tickets. In fact, we're all looking forward to Always Patsy Cline coming next in September. ShreveportLittleTheater.com. It's American theater at its best. ShreveportLittleTheater.com. Sometimes we get into habits because we're human, and some of those habits can drain maybe up to 90% of our joy. We're talking about that this evening here on Strategies for Living, here on 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Welcome back. Jimmie Bryant, David McMillian here. Another thing we do, it's a habit, we resist. We resist ideas and lessons, new ideas, new lessons. You know, and to make real progress over the long haul, you got to, you know, I talk about assumptions. And
That's right.
You know, assuming and we've got to let go. We got to be willing to let go of assumptions that you already have, you know, all the answers to all the questions, because we don't. None of us do. So, you know, but when we think in that way, we kind of shut down the ability to learn, and learning is investing. It's investing in ourselves. So, you know, what do we want to do? We want to research. We want to read. We want to devour books. We want to engage with people, you know, especially people who think differently from us.
Especially.
We want to ask questions. We want to listen real closely. And don't just grow in knowledge. Also be a person who gives back. You want to really learn something? Teach it.
That's right.
Teach it, because that's the way you really learn something. So give back. Use what you're learning and make a real difference, make a lasting difference. Constantly seeking fleeting contentment is a habit we get into. There are two variations of contentment in life.
Okay.
It's fleeting and enduring. Now,
Yeah.
the fleeting type is derived from instance of material comfort, right? While the enduring type is attained through gradual growth, progress, learning, and especially on things that are truly important to you. So at a quick glance, it might be difficult to decipher, you know, what's the fleeting from the enduring, but stick with this because it's important. You know, as we live, it becomes vividly obvious that the that enduring stuff is far superior. You know, I think about we talk often about the 12-step programs, and you know, the AA being the most famous. But think about that. If you're doing some type of alcohol or drugs, right? Mm-hmm. That can be a very fleeting type of. That can bring fleeting contentment, you know?
Yes.
But it rarely is going to bring, you know, alcohol and drugs is probably not going to give you enduring contentment.
I mean, I think you're being kind. I think probably not. Probably not.
I'm you know, I'm not wanting to, you know, not wanting to come up from the, you know, the height.
Sure,
you know,
sure.
You know, I don't. It's, who is it for me to, you know, to judge anybody else? I've got a full-time job just keeping up with me.
No, I love it. Yep.
But you know, again, that's the example that comes to my mind first, and that's, you know, the 12 steps give us a way out, and you know, 12 steps are magnificent, and they've helped millions of people get clean and sober. I mean, you can find a 12-step meeting virtually any waking hour of the day.
Right.
You know,
point in a direction.
Yeah. And you know, you don't have to be an alcoholic or a drug addict to go to most meetings. There are a handful of closed meetings, but the vast majority of AA meetings are wide open for anybody to come and be a part of. So don't settle. Don't exchange what you want most for what you kind of want at the moment, you know? Look at your routines. Figure out, where do I spend my time and energy and effort, and remove distractions. It's time to focus more on what matters to us in the long haul.
That's right.
That makes sense?
It sure does.
So, constantly seeking out that fleeting contentment. If you do that, what maybe I want to make a change there. Always worrying about what's going on with somebody else's story. Don't be so satisfied with the success stories of others and how things have gone for them that you forget that you're writing your own story. Unfold your own tale and bring it to life, and do that daily. All of us have everything we need to become what you're capable of becoming. Incredible change can happen when we decide to make ourselves a priority. Jesus said when he was asked, what's the greatest commandments? And he said, love God and love your neighbor as you love yourself. Now, I'm not taking aim or swiping at any Christian church, but I think most Christian churches do a real good job with 2/3 of what Jesus said. We do a real good job focusing on how to love God. And most churches do a real good job of focusing on how to love their neighbor. But the totality of what Jesus said was, love God and love your neighbor as you love yourself. To unpack that, what is he really saying? He's really saying you can't give what you don't have over the long haul, Yeah. And some of his parables aimed at this too. The wise virgins and the foolish virgins is one that comes to mind. But we can't give what we don't have. If I want to give you a drink, if you're thirsty and I want to give you a drink of water in the worst way, but I've let my pitcher run dry, doesn't matter how hard I want to give you a drink of water, I don't have any water to give you.
That's right.
It has to begin with ourselves. We have to love ourselves so that we can love everybody else. That's not selfish. That's, yes, definitely we want to love all, but we're in that all.
That's right.
We don't want to cut ourselves out.
I like that.
Yeah. Fearing the necessary failures. That's a habit that we get into, fearing the necessary failures. What do I mean by that? The little failures. Mm-hmm. I mean, part of life, literally, sometimes we have to fail dozens of times in order to succeed.
Can I adjust that?
Yeah, sure.
I'm just going to float this over at you and tell me if you're okay with it.
All right.
It's not fearing, it's the avoiding.
Yeah.
It's okay to be scared.
Oh, sure.
But when you allow
move
that
into
fear
that.
You got to move into it, because the little things add up to the big things, and you'll never do the big things.
Yep.
If you don't do the little things. And so
no matter how many mistakes that I make, no matter how slow it seems like my progress is, I'm still going to be ahead of the game. And I'm going to be ahead of anybody who's not trying. Okay?
Say that again, please.
All right. It doesn't matter how slow I go, how slow I think I'm progressing. I'm still way ahead of any and everyone who isn't trying. So I don't want to, I need to remind myself not to get so hung up on a few failed attempts that, I miss I end up missing the opportunity to keep moving forward. And, that's it. I mentioned Pogo a second ago, and you're right. He's not a tortoise, but I don't know why. But immediately
he had a tortoise with him.
He had a tortoise with him.
There was one hung out with him.
Yes. But I'm thinking of the story, that we learned as a kid, the tortoise and the hare, right?
Yeah.
Who won the race? Yeah, the tortoise did.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right.
Slow and sure. You know, so failure. Just we got to remember it's not falling down. Failure is staying down. It's not picking ourselves, getting back up, and going again. You know, most people think, you know, when asked, and I think it's a running total at the Smithsonian in the Americana section. It's a running total that I think they've had for years. People vote who's the best president that's ever been. I think Lincoln is number one because, you know, Lincoln saved the Union, right?
Sure. Yeah.
But what we don't realize is Lincoln lost most every election he ran for.
Probably lost more than most presidents.
Yeah. I mean, he only, I think I'm right, he only served one national elective office in the House of Representatives before, you know, the famous Lincoln-Douglas debates. He lost that he won. People say he won the debate, but he lost the election to Senator Douglas. You know,
and that's also really powerful because that has spawned off a whole genre of high school extracurricular activity. That style, of debate.
Yep. I know we're out of time, but another habit is I'm waiting for the perfect moment. I'm waiting for the perfect moment to take that next step. That's a myth.
That's a mirage.
Yeah, we got to bury that myth of the perfect moment. There is no perfect moment. Moments aren't perfect. They never will be. Moments are what we make them to be.
Yeah, if you're waiting for the perfect moment, you need to go find something else to do.
Yeah. Just do something. just do it. So many people wait around for the stars to align.
Yeah.
To do what they have to do. The perfect moment, the perfect opportunity, the perfect state of being, whatever you want to say, doesn't exist. So let's not wait.
And we could play that two ways. I could just as easily say, this is the perfect moment.
Yes.
It's just not what you thought it was.
Yes.
It just doesn't look like what you thought it was.
There you go. Be open to whatever comes. Ultimately, you'll come to succeed by not finding a perfect moment, but by learning to see and use whatever imperfections life puts in front of us as stepping stones and putting that together to being right where we need to be. Right?
Absolutely.
Letting it unfold, allowing it, letting it unfold. Talking about daily habits that drain 90% of our joy today here on Strategies for Living. We'll be back. More to come. Daily habits that drain 90% of our joy. Welcome back to Strategies for Living. So, we are joy, but we can get into it. One of the things, what's the main strategy here? It's recognizing that you can't change what you don't acknowledge. So it's recognizing, it's being able to be specific about and honest about your current circumstances. And, you might just ask the questions, what's bothering me right now? Where am I stuck? What do I want to change? And then write down the answer to the question, what are the habits that have contributed to these circumstances? Because I promise you, you will find habits and then write down a few specific details about, what you'd like to create. Because again, you've got to get it in your mind. Everything is created twice. It's first created in our minds, and then it's manifest. So we want to be specific about, what do you want? What are the details about the better circumstances that you want to create for yourself? What would that happiness look like? What would that situation look like? And what are the daily habits that I can replace my habits with now that'll get me where I want to go? And write that down. I think that's a real strategy for letting go of those habits that drain 90% of our joy.
I would encourage all of our listeners to do their best to heed that advice. I think that's sound advice.
Thank you, sir. Folks, thank you. Thank you for tuning into Strategies for Living. We are presented every day for you by the Robinson Film Center and by Azalea Cleaners, by Pintail Roofing, by Learning Rx, by Hempress, Cannabis with Love, 3766 Uri Drive in Shreveport, and by the Shreveport Little Theater. If today were the last day of your life, you only had one more phone call that you could make, who is it that you'd call? And what is it that you'd say? And why are you waiting? Make the call. For Jimmie Bryant, I'm David McMillian. See you next time here on Strategies for Living.
Help me